seismic year full of royal crises, Montecito melodrama, and let's be honest, a serious nod to a future, a very different future for the British monarchy under Prince William and Catherine, the Princess of Wales. But of course, Harry and Meghan still trying to do everything they possibly can to hijack it. So as we head to the end of 2025, a year which I will certainly never forget covering the royal family, Angela Levin, our royal mastermind, is here to reveal the second annual Angela Levin Royal Mastermind Awards. And let's kick off with what was Harry and Meghan's worst moment in 2024. It was that fake Colombia tour, but it got even worse back in February for their attention seeking at the Invictus Games. This, I think, was the worst moment. Remember, we covered at the time, Meghan Markle was immediately sent home. She was furious about it. You reported that all of the people behind the scenes at the Invictus Games hated the way that she was stealing all of the attention from the disabled competitors. And so she went home and got her revenge on Prince Harry by posting the first video on Instagram of their two children. What a nasty piece of work. But what was it about this moment at Invictus, Angela, that stole the attention from all of the other terrible things we saw?
Yeah, well, they started necking in the seats, and the cameramen were there watching. And I mean, however much you love somebody, you don't actually start doing that in a crowd, and it takes it all away from the veterans. That's what they were so upset about, because the concentration should have been about them. But she can't help that. She wanted to give a terrible speech about her children, how wonderful they were, and actually how wonderful Harry was. But we weren't there to hear about that. We were there to sort of see people who had been really badly wounded, some of them, and win games and do well. I mean, it gives them such positive future. And I just thought it was absolutely disgusting to do that. So that's my wounded people on number one.
No, very good point. Then we come to Meghan Markle's most shocking moment herself. Yeah. And in 2024, the award went to Meghan for pretending to be the most bullied woman in the world. But in 2025, she stooped even lower, ignoring her father after the major surgery he had just weeks ago when he had to have his left leg amputated. This was the moment that he lay in his hospital bed, having not heard a thing from his daughter. At that point, remember, Meghan had briefed to all of the mainstream media, oh, I've reached out to my dad. You know, the suggestion was that she had called him, and that stole all of the attention away from Catherine's Christmas concert. But there was poor Thomas lying in the hospital trying to get around in his head that he's just had his leg removed. And he's like, I haven't heard a word from this daughter, who hasn't spoken to me, by the way, since 2018.
Well, it's a typical Meghan. It's all about me. And she couldn't face seeing him, talking to him. You know, she actually didn't want to have anything to do with him long ago, before she got married. And she's not going to change her mind. Now, some people might say, okay, look, I have been very angry with him for X, Y, Z, but now, poor man, it's absolutely terrible. He could have nearly died, or he would have died. So let's just forget it all and just me be a daughter, a kind daughter. No, she wouldn't do that. She's going to stay exactly how she is. She's not going to give an inch. She's going to tell lies, pretending she can do things when she isn't. And it's all about her. She will try and win from this, if not in one way, then in another way. And I think that's, it's not whether she likes her father or she doesn't like her father. It's something that she should do. She should be there because he looked after her when her mother was not there. He was very kind to her, and he still loves her, unbelievably so. And that's what's important, not her. And she can't do that. So she's one of my negatives.
When it came to Prince Harry, there were so many shocking moments to choose from. In 2024, it was his interview lies, but very similar, actually, Angela. Your award in 2025 goes to him for insensitivity towards the king's cancer. And again, this came in a truly horrific interview, Angela, with the British Bashing Corporation in May in 2025. Watch.
As I said, life is precious. I don't know how much longer my father has. He won't speak to me because of this security stuff. But it would be nice to reconcile.
And Angela, what I found so disgusting about this is that Harry was almost publicly bullying his cancer-stricken father into a meeting, which did end up happening. And I think it was a huge mistake.
So do I. And I agree with you completely. It was a way of punishing his father, wasn't he, for not actually helping him to get protection, which he can't do because he's not enabled to do that. And he just goes nagging and nagging, hoping that the most of the country won't know anything about that. But it's a terrible thing to say about your father. How long has he got? Because, one doesn't know, it might be a long time, might not. And to say that, to bring that out in the open for someone so known and respected as the king is disgusting. You shouldn't do that for the son, because everything's going to muddle up when he eventually goes. But you don't have to sort of bring it forward. And I thought it was terrible. He just complained as well at the same time about security, that he needs security, except he was in Ukraine and nobody was there for him. He was fine. It's just when he's suddenly in England that he's in terrible trouble and needs help. But he's blaming his father for that too. And I think that that's terrible, to bring up your parent and humiliate them in the public. Don't like them, fair enough, just shut up. And to sort of do this, I long for reconciliation, but really I want to smash you to pieces.
Of
Doesn't
course.
go with me.
No, and Angela, we've had for the whole year, let's think back to the whole year. Did we see any contrition from Prince Harry and Meghan Markle at all about the lies that destroyed the final days of the late Queen Elizabeth II, that destroyed the final days of Prince Philip, that are destroying the final days of King Charles III? Did we hear any contrition, seriously, at any point this year? Because I don't remember it. Do you?
No, there isn't anything. And Meghan is even worse because she wanted this huge wedding of 32 million, I think, I can't remember now, to do that. And then she kept saying, I didn't want this very expensive wedding, and that she never, ever has said thank you to the royal family for actually putting her in the spotlight, being kind, trying to help her. I know they did many good things. She couldn't cope, so there we are. That's a different story. But nobody was nasty to her, really. And I was in and out a lot, and I think it's shocking that a pair of them can't actually feel that other people need attention and need you to be nice to them. Not pretend nice, but adult nice, straightforward. Thank you very much. Not hard.
Now, Angela, the most shocking royal moment of 2025. Last year, it was Catherine's cancer diagnosis. But this year, again, it went to the delusional Duke and that truly awful appearance on the hard left Stephen Colbert show, the late night show in America, which was cancelled this year. And remember, we've got to contextualize this, Angela. He went ahead with this appearance knowing full well that his father-in-law was close to death at that point in a hospital in the Philippines. Watch.
Treated like a king for the day. What would you want me to do for you?
Beg for me, probably.
You'd want me to do what? Beg.
Beg. Beg.
Beg.
B-A-K. Beg. Bake.
Oh, bake!
This was so shocking. on so many levels. And I understand why you've said it's the most shocking moment of the year, because, of course, we were all reeling from the fact that, oh my God, Thomas Markle was just being taken to intensive care in the Philippines. Holy mackerel, he might die. Okay, no, they've saved him, but he's now lost his left leg. This is awful. And I was awake speaking to Sam Markle. It was like 3 a.m. in the morning, and an Instagram story popped up from Meghan Markle. I thought, okay, maybe she's done the decent thing, Angela. Maybe she's saying, Godspeed, Dad, you know, I don't have your number. This is how I'm going to get in touch with you, something like that. But Angela, she wasn't doing that. She was posting that clip of her husband on Stephen Colbert. And we later learned, Angela, that she pushed Harry into this, into being so political, into being so anti-Trump, which actually saw him booed on stage, of course. And more than that, Angela, she even received script approval from Stephen Colbert's team. That's according to reporting from Rob Shooter. So I was gobsmacked. I was just gobsmacked because I'm like, holy crap, you don't care about your father. And then everything that came next was not because of actually how she unfortunately feels about her father. It was because of the PR disaster that she had just walked right into.
Yeah. I mean, it's just too ghastly to imagine. I felt that she'd done it for him because when he cracked jokes with me and with all sort of people around when I walked around with him such a long time, he can crack jokes very well himself. These were obviously all phony and done by somebody, and I thought the only somebody is going to be Meghan. But Stephen Colbert, he hates the British people anyway, and he was extremely rude about Catherine when she was having treatment for cancer. Now, I think anybody who can stand there and do that with him is shocking. And here, how Harry, he's just sunken into the earth. And actually, he looks pathetic. He can't be a comedian. He can make a quick joke, but he can't be a comedian. And he looks absolutely ridiculous. And it was all done in time. You know, he said this, and he said, oh, pardon, what did you say? Oh, did you realize all that? You know, it was absolutely nonsense. And it's also dangerous because even if he doesn't like Trump, you don't say that. It's not what you say. You keep your mind shut about it. And because he could be thrown out. And, you know, why risk that? I think Meghan wanted it to be political. He didn't want it to be political. But of course, guess who won?
Always.
So we
Always.
are.
She always wins, doesn't she,
Yes,
Angela?
it's too scared not to let her.
So you
That's-
think, and obviously you were his biographer, you spent a lot of time with him.
Yeah.
You think the issue in 2025 is that he just remains scared of Meghan, clearly unhappy, but she's still calling the shots.
Yes, he has to do what she says. That's it. Yes, I feel there's no change because he is frightened. I mean, he can be very angry with her, but then there are times when she really lets go, that he is scared, and she can scream and suggest all sorts of things. Do you remember when she was before they left, and she said that she felt she should commit suicide? Well, it's a terrible thing for someone to say, and I realized that she was extremely, extremely unhappy. But she also refused to go to anybody who would help her. She went to the staff people, and they said, we can't do that. So she's done that as for everyone.
It was
And
gaslighting, it was emotional blackmail, it's a grim thing to do.
yeah, thank you.
And of course,
Yeah.
she was also trying to, as she always does, invoke this idea of, I'm going through the same thing that your mum went through. Because we know Princess Diana obviously had the failed suicide attempt or cry for help, however you want to describe it, during one of her pregnancies. Now, Angela,
Yes.
let's move on to the best royal moment of 2025. In 2024, it was Prince Louis who stole the show. But this year, Angela has given the award to Catherine, the Princess of Wales, for her Mother's Day message, where she posted on Instagram Over the past year, nature has been our sanctuary. This Mother's Day, let us celebrate Mother Nature and recognize how our bond with the natural world can help not only nurture our inner selves, but remind us too of the role we play within the rich tapestries of life. And she posted this wonderful video alongside it, Angela, and you were taken with this. It was your favorite royal moment of the year. Why did you love it, Angela?
The opening lines set a chilling tone. He is frightened, she can scream, he is scared. This isn't playful celebrity gossip, it's a power imbalance narrative. The suggestion here is that Prince Harry is not the decision-maker in his own life, but a man reacting to emotional pressure. Right out of the gate, the audience is being primed to see Harry not as a rebel prince, but as someone trapped, reactive, and emotionally cornered. That framing colors everything that follows. The show draws a sharp contrast. A future monarchy under William and Catherine, stability, duty, continuity, versus Harry and Meghan, portrayed as trying to hijack that future. This is about legacy. One couple is presented as building something enduring. The other as clinging to relevance by disruption. The Invictus Games are supposed to be sacred ground, wounded veterans, resilience, recovery. Instead, the segment accuses Meghan of center staging herself, treating the event like a personal red carpet, turning a veteran's platform into a celebrity spectacle. The laughter clip becomes symbolic, not funny, but tone-deaf. The core accusation: the veterans were sidelined for Sussex optics. The claim that Meghan went home and immediately posted content featuring the children is framed as retaliation, not family sharing. This is where the commentary turns especially harsh. Children as PR leverage. Private moments weaponized. Attention reclaimed at any cost. The implication is that nothing is off limits when narrative control is threatened. This is one of the emotional peaks of the entire transcript. The accusation is brutal. A father loses his leg. Lies in a hospital bed. Has not heard from his daughter. Meanwhile, media briefings suggest she did reach out. The contradiction is the story. The charge isn't disagreement, it's abandonment combined with image management. Angela's analysis paints Meghan as incapable of yielding ground, unable to act out of basic human decency, motivated by control, not compassion. The line that lands hardest: it's not whether she likes her father, it's something she should do. This reframes the issue as moral duty, not emotion. Harry's BBC interview is treated as a line crossed. Mentioning how much longer my father has is framed as emotional blackmail, public pressure, a deeply inappropriate disclosure. The accusation: Harry weaponized his father's illness to advance his security demands. This section dismantles Harry's security narrative. Safe abroad. Safe in war-adjacent zones. Suddenly unsafe only in Britain. The suggestion is that fear is selective, but entitlement is constant. Blaming the king is portrayed as both unfair and manipulative. A devastating summary. No apology. No acknowledgement of harm. No gratitude. The transcript frames Harry and Meghan as incapable of saying two words: thank you. This is positioned as the root of public fatigue. Harry's late-night appearance is presented as ill-timed, politically reckless, personally humiliating. The timing, while Thomas Markle was in intensive care, is what makes it explosive. Posting that clip instead of any compassionate message is framed as PR insanity. Harry's anti-Trump remarks, allegedly encouraged by Meghan, are portrayed as dangerous for his visa status, naive about American politics. Another example of being pushed where he doesn't belong.
I loved it because this is a woman who'd had the most terrible time and very scary, and yet she feels that she would take advantage of what we all have in this world, which is nature and sunlight and plants and trees. And I think that it's we should have gratitude for all this, because if you really look at it, it does make you feel happy. And if you take your husband and your children with you, then you've got something really special, and you can enjoy that. Even if it's sort of a storm. You can watch that through the window and be completely taken by it because, how does that happen? A rainbow, how does that happen? All those colors. I think there's so much that you can enjoy. And here she is, where she can have loads of jewelry and loads of beautiful clothes. But what she likes is something that is very fresh and nature. And I
And
think
that is
that's
accessible to us all. That's what I think is so
everybody.
telling, isn't it?
You can
Exactly.
be rich, you can be poor. Exactly.
Yeah,
Yes.
Meghan is constantly and has spent all 2025 trying to sell to us her dodgy products. Buy. Spend money that you don't have. Spend money that you don't have. Spend $65 on, 3 tins of jam that can't even be called jam because it's not real jam. Whereas Catherine's saying, no, you don't need any of that. You don't need to spend a thing. What you've got is you've got nature and you've got time. It was lovely. Okay, let's move on, Angela, to your most surprising royal moment of 2025. Last year, it was Princess Anne being seriously injured in that horse riding accident. But this year, Prince George's remembrance appearance. And this was very surprising and it was very special, Angela Levin, because you'll remember his father, William, wasn't there because he was returning from the Earthshot Prize. And a lot of people have thought, Angela, after this appearance, is that it was the first tentative steps of introducing George to his future role.
Yes, it was very charming, and it's something which is even more important. It's something he really wanted to do because he's liked to learn about war. He's got a huge personal interest about that, and he was very polite to the veterans. He was asking how they did things, how they managed this and that. And it wasn't dragging him and saying, right, look, mate, you're going to be doing this when you're older. It's something he really wanted. And I think that's a very, very good way to start. So you take the next in line, not that I know very much about the next in line, but you take the next in line and you do it with something that they really like and enjoy. I think it's very important. Annual Festival of Remembrance, isn't it, for the Second World War? And for him to want to do that and to come along, I think is lovely. Absolutely surprising and lovely.
It was a really big moment, actually, and it did feel like, again, George being introduced to this important role and, of course, very early on being taught about the importance of what our veterans went through, especially during the World Wars. Okay, this is the award that all the royals want. Angela, who was the most hardworking royal of 2025? Last year, the gong went to Sophie, the Duchess of Edinburgh. But this year, Angela, it's Princess Anne, now 75 years old.
Yes, I think she's remarkable. I mean, when she walks and she does things, she's so quick, she's so alert, and she works incredibly hard. But she's had a lot more to do this year, standing in for the king. Does she make a moan? No, she does it. She's there before you said hello. She doesn't complain. She actually does it and feels responsible, and she cares very much for him and the royal family, and so she can travel far and wide, taking her husband round a lot nowadays, where before she went on her own, which I think is very nice and does very well. The press don't follow her much, but she's likes that, and she just gets on what she's supposed to do. And I think that she deserved this prize.
Then we come to the award that none of them want, Angela, the worst royal of 2025. Last year, it was Prince Andrew, because he was Prince Andrew then, now Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. But this year, Angela, it's Meghan Markle. That's because you describe her as a destroyer of the monarchy. What do you mean?
Well, I think she hates the monarchy, and I think she tells lies about it. And since she had her interview with Oprah soon after they left working in the royal family, she's presented them as being harsh, nasty, unkind, spiteful individuals. And I think that can pull down the monarchy, and I don't want her to do that. But she also does it for anyone. She does it for staff, doesn't she? She loses staff very, very quickly all the time, and she's destroyed Harry, I think. And he could have been much better than he is because he let her sort of mess him out. And I think that she's a really spiteful, nasty female, and we've seen it this in the last 2 or 3 days how she's behaved to her father. And I just think she's got a very, very nasty streak in her.
And then, Angela, the big one. The best royal of 2025. Last year, it was Queen Camilla. But this year, there we go, Angela, the King. King
Yes.
Charles.
Okay.
Beautiful trumpeting. And he's had an incredibly difficult year, Angela, but you say he is proving to be an example of how to cope, never complaining about what is truly devastating cancer treatment.
Yes, I think it's been a very hard time, but he has been very open about his cancer, which was very different from how the royals would do some time ago. They wouldn't have said anything. He's spoken about it a lot. He goes to hospitals. He helps the people there. How are you feeling? Oh dear, he's visiting as many people as he can, encouraging patients to watch out and look after themselves. And I think that's a huge thing to do. And he still does a lot of meeting and all sorts of things. And I think that it's very, very brave. And I admire that hugely.
He's had a very difficult year, Angela, but I think you are right to say there is a certain stoicism. And what I have huge respect for is the fact that he just wants to be out there. He just wants to be out there, come hell or high water. And he doesn't talk about his ongoing treatment for this very, very serious form of cancer, even though we can see, obviously, with our own eyes, the physical toll that this is taking. Wow, Angela, the worst royal of 2025, Meghan Markle. The best royal of 2025, King Charles. Thank you for your brilliant coverage as our royal mastermind all year long. I hope you have a wonderful new year. But of course, we will be back live with you, Angela, next week for all of the latest royal news, because we return live on Monday, January the 5th, 2026. Bring it on. God knows what's going to happen.
The refrain returns, she always wins. Angela's claim that Harry is frightened is reinforced with past references to suicide claims and emotional leverage. This is framed as psychological pressure, emotional manipulation, a pattern, not an incident. The audience is pushed to see Harry as complicit, but not fully free. The tone shifts dramatically. Catherine's Mother's Day message is praised for simplicity, gratitude, accessibility, no selling, no branding, no moral lecturing. The contrast with Meghan's commercial lifestyle push is deliberate and devastating. George's Remembrance appearance is framed as organic, respectful, purposeful, not forced, not performative. This is monarchy succession done properly, gentle introduction, not exploitation, and is celebrated as tireless, no nonsense, duty-driven, no interviews, no victimhood, no drama, a living rebuke to celebrity royal culture. The accusation here is nuclear, destroyer of the monarchy. Angela claims Meghan lies about the institution, bleeds staff, undermines trust, has destroyed Harry himself. Whether viewers agree or not, this is the harshest verdict delivered. The closing verdict redeems the institution. Charles is praised for stoicism, transparency, service despite illness, no self-pity, no public resentment, a quiet counterexample to grievance politics. This wasn't just an awards show. It was a moral audit of the modern monarchy. Duty versus ego. Service versus self-promotion. Silence versus spectacle. Harry and Meghan are framed as symbols of celebrity culture colliding with constitutional monarchy and losing. Now we want your honest verdict. Was Meghan Markle rightly named the worst royal of 2025? Is Prince Harry trapped or responsible for his own downfall? Has the public finally turned on the Sussex brand for good? Like, if you think the monarchy's future lies with William and Catherine, comment agree or disagree. We want to hear you. Subscribe for uncensored royal commentary you won't hear anywhere else. Because this isn't gossip, it's the battle for the monarchy's future.